2010 Ford F150 with a parasitic drain. It dies overnight, so let's get to it. Good morning everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we have a 2010 Ford F150, as I mentioned. Customer's complaint, the battery dies overnight. He says usually sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but if you leave it overnight and then like until the afternoon, the truck doesn't run. That's what he says. So let's do our checks. Let's set up to find out what's the problem here. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to check the battery voltage, and as of this moment 7.5. He said it's a brand new, and it looked like it is a brand new 11/21. We're in January right now. So what I did, I made sure that there is no switch to the hood latch or anything here, which I couldn't find any. I unlocked the doors. I opened both front doors, and then I locked I closed the lock from here manually, and now I am going to lock the truck. Before I do so, because I disconnected the negative, I'm going to switch my leads. Disconnect this, switch it to 10 amp, and then switch one right here and the other one right here. So now we have contact. We have a between 1.5 and all the way up to 8. I see 8 amp. So because we just woke up the car, now we're going to lock. Hopefully, I don't think it's enough to lock it. It's not enough. So all right, so I just put the jump box, and now I have a steady 1 amp draw. Now this is a Ford, and sometimes Ford takes an hour to go to sleep. So now we can unlock and lock. Now lock it, and let's watch our meter. This could take a long time, so I'm going to stop and bring you guys back. I want to mention that I am seeing some aftermarket wires right here. This is positive, this is negative. I don't know what is this here. It's stuck over here, and it looked like the car has brand new headlights, and I believe the car was in an accident right here, if I'm not mistaken, because this is new, this is painted, this is not OEM. So yeah, that's something to take in consideration. It might be those headlights, who knows, but we'll see. We're still on 0.8. Since we're still waiting for that to go down, 0.859, that's a lot. This is a lot. Some of you guys might know that I have this phone that has this FLIR thermal imager, and I don't know how good of a picture is this to you guys, but you guys see this is, there's a sun right here, see it, but here I don't see anything in the fuse box that indicates a draw. Let's go to the other fuse box inside the truck. One note I want to mention, I forgot, usually I put the driver's seat all the way to the back, and the passenger, just in case I want to go under the steering column looking for the fuse box, which I cannot find. Okay, so since we're waiting for that, it's time to put the VIN number. We still have 0.8. It's time to the VIN number and all data, see if there is any recall, TSB, anything in related to a parasitic drain. Sometimes module update actually can fix the issue, so let's use that time. After about 10 minutes it dropped to 0.688. I knew that number is not real. That's why I wanted to wait, and actually this one should also go down more, so just wanted to give you guys a letter. I don't find any TSB, any recall related to battery drains. So it's been, right now it's 10:14. I started timing at 9:50, so it's been 25 minutes and we still have a 0.68, 0.7. Okay, since we have the computer, let's see if there's another fuse box. Fuse black, component location. Okay, this is the one by the engine. Number 2 is gonna be, here you go, smart junction box. Smart junction, remove and replacement. This should be, I think, on the passenger side, but I did look on the passenger side. Okay. Doesn't say where. I think that's on the passenger side. It goes behind this panel. Right here. Let me remove that. Alright, somebody was here before, look. None of this is factory. Remove that cover. Alright. Look at the thermal imager. Oh, you guys see that? This relay has some heat in it. What else? Fuses. Okay. And I think this one, because it's metal, because you see it's a 59. Yeah, it's not well, who knows. We're still at 0.6. Just out of curiosity, this big fuse is 47. And we'll come here. 47, it says master window adjust switch, passenger side window adjust switch, overhead console switch assembly, roof opening panel module. That should be easy if it is. But where we at? Still at 0.6. When should I start? Half an hour? Yeah, I think half an hour is good. Okay, let's start checking circuits on the fuses. Alright, so we're using the amp Hound for this. I do have a separate video for reviewing this tool. I will put the link right here right now. And I'm using this attachment that I bought separately. So that sound means no draw. Alright, I'll bring you guys back if I find anything. I have finished the under the hood fuse, and I came to check here. Everything checked out good. This is good. And $640. This fuse, let's see what it is. It's 26. Let's go see what is 26. 640. This is 680. So we should be left with 40 milliamp, which is acceptable. We said 26. Instrument cluster. I hate when it says instrument cluster. Key release, interlock, actuator, front display interface module without navigation, front control interface module, ignition switch. Okay, that's gonna be fun. Let's pull up the power distribution schematic. So I am in a power distribution schematic. What I do Control and F. It will bring up this search bar right here. What I put fuse 26 and I found 4. So I go to the one that it says in a smart junction box, which is our guy right here. It goes down to 4 things as the fuse panel explained. Key release interlock actuator, which is key release interlock actuator is on the steering column. Instrument cluster and front control interface module FICM. Now the front control interface module is the this right here, and we have front display interface module FIDM, if you want to call it, FDIM, without navigation, and the car does not have navigation. So we have 4 things. I am going to focus probably on this and this. Probably the cluster is the last. Now the cluster I've had I don't think I recorded. I regret, that's one of the ones that I regret recording. It was a 2012 or 2010 Ford Fusion, and I had a parasitic drain on the cluster, and what it was this shift interlock. There is a switch here that will, when you put it on park, it will send a ground signal to the cluster, telling it that, hey, we are in park, you can go ahead and shut the operation if the key is not in the ignition switch. Well, that was bad, and I don't know what's going on here, by the way. So that and the fusion was bad, and it wasn't letting the cluster go to sleep, and we only found out at night. I told the owner of the mechanic shop to stay later than usual, let it get dark, and take a look at the car. Actually, I think I still have the picture that he sent me. I will put it right now so you guys see that the prindle on the cluster was still lit. That's how we found out. But unfortunately right now we cannot find out. We might have to do the same thing with this truck. Yeah, let me get to those two modules and disconnect them, see what happened. This is the FICM, and this is the harness, yellow and red, pin number 1. And when I disconnect it, I still have the same thing. So next I was gonna do the screen, but there is one screw here that's giving me a hard time. I have to take a lot of stuff just to remove this panel to get to it. I don't have a 7mm wrench, so I guess next I'm going to go to the cluster, disconnect it, see if that's gonna make a change. I think there's a big chance that it is the same issue with the fusion, but we'll see. Alright, what I did, I pulled the cluster out of its place so we have access to the harness, and I removed this cover also to have access to this right here, the ignition switch. This is the back of it, and this is the harness. This is our guy right here, red and yellow. So the ignition switch, if key in ignition, then this should make contact, and when it make contact it will pass 12 volts from the yellow and red to blue and gray. So yellow and red, hold on. So we do have 12 volts in the yellow and red. Now we switch into that blue and gray. Alright, so we have a ground. So that one is good. Ignition switch is good. Now the instrument cluster. This is the schematic for the shift interlock, and see right here it says with column shift. So it is with column shift, but we don't have a column shift. With floor shift it goes down right here. And let's disconnect the cluster, see what happened. See, everything dropped right there. We have 18 milliohm once I disconnected the cluster. So I think we have a similar case to that fusion. Look at it. The problem is with the fusion, it is set up like this, exactly like this. A switch in the shifter would send a ground to the instrument cluster, but this is not the case here. Right here, this is the range, park, detect. So when it is on park, this red would changes to white and brown, which goes to the key release interlock actuator. When it's on range, it does have ground, so it will activate this and it won't allow the key to come out of the the ignition switch. Now the problem is, how does, with a floor shift, how does the instrument cluster get a signal that says, hey, I'm in park? Let me read more about it. I come to the aftermarket non-OE schematic. Says park sensor 14 shift interlock system. When I go to shift interlock system, we've seen it before, it says with column shift pin 14 also. So when I come to the harness, pin 14 is a green. Actually, this is 1 to 13, and then 14 is green, and we don't have anything. Let me connect the cluster and see what we have. When I connect the cluster and I'm on pin 14, I have 10.6 volts, and my drain is back 0.685. I almost want to cut it from here and see what happened, although this is not appropriate to do, but I think it's better than calling a bad cluster, and it is not bad. See, my concern is right now is I don't want to do the same mistake that I did with the Fusion. Yes, I will admit my mistakes with the Fusion. I called a bad cluster, and we got one, we programmed it, and it wasn't the cluster. The cluster was just a reflection of the bad switch in the shifter. But right now, based on those diagrams, the OE and the non-OE, I just cannot find how, when it's floor shift, how it is being detected that it is on park. Probably this is the shift interlock. Do we have a schematic for the shifter? Let me look it up. If we go back to this schematic, here it says floor shift, so this is park detect. But anyways, even if it is detected, it won't affect anything. Like, it won't send a signal anywhere. It will just, when it's on range, it will ground this to activate the key release interlock actuator. But let's check it out. This is the only indicator we have right now, so we should have, this is the harness. 4 is ground, and it is a ground. And number 2 is red. Number 2 is red, which has 12 volts coming from the coil of that actuator. Let me mute this. So technically, if I move the shifter right now, this should get grounded. So this is working properly. Number 6. Five is transmission system. 6, transmission system. Okay. What do we have on 5? 5 we have a ground, and 6 we have a ground. Okay, what else should we check? Shift lock. Okay, let's check. Number 1. What do we have on number 1? We have ground. Why do we have a ground? Because it is from that coil, for get it from pin number 4, which is a ground. So this one now shift lock. That should be a why this is a ground. If a shift lock is activated, then that shouldn't be a ground. That should be battery power, because this is the ground side of it, right? Okay. It is locked. And let's go back to, what was it, the red one we said. There you go, it's grounded. Oh boy, I did the crazy. I cut that green one, pin 14, and nothing happened. So I am here on the OE schematic for the instrument cluster, and let's see what pins we have. We have battery voltage. We have those two, module communication network, PATS system, and oil pressure indicator, and a ground. Next we have instrument cluster right here. 2 says compass plus and minus. This is the compass, this is the auto dimming, this is electronic compass, this is with heated seats, and this is smart junction box fuse. Next, third diagram, instrument cluster right here. We have the vehicle dynamic system, and this is pin 14 that we just cut. It says with column shifter, so shift interlock, fuel level input and fuel return. That's for the fuel indicator. Message signal, what is that? Message center switch, message center switch. Cluster and panel illumination, ground. Alright, that's nothing important. 4, smart junction box. This is the ignition switch we just checked. Smart junction box. The fuse, 26R fuse. Park brake switch. Brake fluid level indicator. So we have park brake, we have park fluid switch, brake fluid switch, key and ignition, and CAN communication. That's it. We don't have anything. That's everything we have in a cluster. So what is it? A bad cluster? With everything we checked, I have nothing else except bad cluster. But this time I'm not gonna say bad cluster until I visit this vehicle at night. I wanna visit this vehicle at night and see if there's any lights on the cluster, anything lit. It might be irrelevant, but I just want to see. So stay with me, guys.